Hello and welcome to Urban Legends, the popular podcast, and this is part 2 of Matusita House. I am Java Reg, coming remotely from Lowestoft. Please enjoy.
Welcome to Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends and how to act in a courteous and refined manner, but much less about that. Here's your hosts, Neil and Chris.
Yeah, so I think this is why the house is named after this family, because obviously that's
that's bad, murdering your wife and kids.
I think that would be a horrific kind of crime that would obviously would sort of resonate in the community, and I think that's how presumably how the house got its name.
The thing is, you hear about. It's not very often, and we don't live in a particularly violent society in the UK, but you do sometimes hear about someone murdering their wife and kids. Do you think that those houses will be known as that forever?
I think it's a mixture, to be honest with you. I think it's that kind of a horrific crime, especially with children involved. And then I think the house is quirky and unique. So It's a bit like the...
so on a council estate, it's a bit...
Exactly, yeah. So if it's,
who cares? Someone's probably been murdered in all these houses.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But no, I mean, well, yes, sadly. But, that's not the case, but sadly, that would be the sort of attitude people would have. But, I think it's like the Amityville one. I mean, I think a hell of a lot of that, because you look at the actual...
I don't really know anything about Amityville.
It's basically just some kid, he murdered his parents and his brother or something like that. It was just a kid with or an adolescent with a gun. I think it might have been a late teenager, it might have been early 20s, something like that. But anyway, he murdered his family.
Just shot his family.
Yeah, basically. Horrific crime and all the rest of it. But because the building looks quite quirky, and people said it looks like a face and stuff like this.
Oh, okay. So
it's given rise to all of these legends, and supposedly all of these things happened in the past, and yada yada yada. Turns out we'll probably do an episode of Amityville House because it's worth looking into. But yeah, by and large, spoiler, it's it was all just like embellishment after the fact.
Right, okay.
But yeah, because I think that one really kind of like, and they made a film about it as well. Actually, I think it was
and Eminem banged on about it.
Did he?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
In his early
diss
stuff.
Track about Amityville.
Yeah. He did a diss track about you once, didn't he?
He liked the first 3 movies, but he thought the 4th was pushing it a bit.
Didn't he? He released that mixtape recently where he did a diss track about you and your relationship with Jeff Khaled.
Yeah.
Are you going to come? Are you going to come back? Have you got anything you want to say to him?
I could spit fire at him, but I wouldn't waste my breath, to be honest with you, Chris.
Yeah, he's past it, isn't he? It's yesterday's news. It's yesterday's newspaper.
Jealous Jesus. It's not 99 anymore, Marshall Mathers.
Lovely. I think that. Do you know what? I think that would probably cut more than you wasting your time and undoubted talents doing a diss track.
Do you know what? I hope he moves on with his life and he's able to find some happiness. Maybe he's down on the misogyny as well, Mr. Mathers. How about
that? It's not cool. And how about call your blue language?
Yeah. Like Will Smith said, got to do a curse in every verse.
Yeah.
Talented rapper like young Will Smith, you can do it.
Got to do a curse in every verse. You might end up in a hearse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see. Why you going around having a go at people? What's your problem? Get into some meditation, mate. Have a little bit of learn self-exploration. You seem like a very angry man. Well, there's a lot of angry people out there who haven't got millions of pounds. Maybe go and do something to help them. Set up a charity to help people with drug problems. Rather than glamorise it. Yeah. You like Detroit that much. You don't live there anymore, do you? And the city's really struggling. Maybe you could open an arts academy. Yeah? Come on.
Well,
right.
We'll wait and see if he comes back on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you know what? I doubt it too. First of all, he doesn't have to bottle because he knows that we're good on the cobbles. And second of all, you know, he's just going to pretend he hasn't heard it so that he doesn't have to put his short arms in his deep pockets and give back to the community that has helped make him a success. You know? He's quite happy to pay for Dr. Dre to have hair plugs, but he won't pay for the people of Detroit's food kitchens.
Hang on a minute. This was Dre had some Rooney-esque hair plugs.
No, but I heard that he was happy to pay for it.
Oh, fair enough.
Just what I heard. I heard on my Telegraph app.
Right, I forget about Dre. That's something.
Yeah. Difficult to, considering he was producing music the whole time, but there we go. So,
right, come on to our final story. So this is taking us up to the 70s. So there's an Argentinian comedian called Humberto Vilches-Vera.
Was there lots of women with their tops falling off and him running around?
I like to imagine he was a very Benny Hill-esque comedian. I don't know. I've not been able to find any...
Bunga!
Not been able to find any... that far show sketch. I've not been able to find any clips of his act, but maybe I'll do a bit more search and see if we can unearth something.
I wouldn't waste your time.
My time to waste.
We're kind of a one and done podcast here.
Anyway, so he claimed he could spend a full week in the house, 7 days and 7 nights complete, to disprove the claims the house was haunted. How do you think that went, Chris?
I imagine that he probably came up with, a solid 10 on his time in the house, and he won Best International Newcomer at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yep, absolutely. No. In fact,
what?
He was found 4 hours after entering, terrified and babbling, and he later had to spend years in a psychiatric hospital.
Do you mind if I ask how much cocaine he took into the house with him because he knew he was going to be bored?
I mean, the ledger is silent on that, unfortunately.
Oh, here we go.
So yeah, he went mad as well. 4 hours in, and he had to spend a lot of time in a psychiatric institution and refused to talk about it until the day that he died.
That's weird, isn't it? That's recent. I mean,
yeah, it's 70s.
Yeah. Do we know anything more about this guy? Did he have any?
I'll come on to that because
issues.
I'll come on to that because it'll be one of our classic themes here.
Misdirects.
Actually, do the facts actually marry up to the story? Quite insane. But apparently, there's a load of other tales and happenings in the house: priests attempting exorcisms, whole families going mad, ghost hunters investigating, and more. I think, actually, so this is actually a travel site that I'm reading from. So, Kudo personalised travel. So you can learn about it from your guide, and although you may want to observe the actual house from afar to avoid adding a story of your own. Okay, so it sounds like they'll take you out and you can see it. So, I mean, in actual fact, I was looking up on this, and he did claim in the 70s that he was going to go along and spend some time in a house. There's no record that he was ever institutionalised, and he said in the biography that he didn't spend any time in the house. It was just like a stunt for TV, basically. And he denies the whole story of him sort of like going mad and so on and so forth.
Right, so it's just completely made up.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, this is one of our sort of classic things where it's an interesting little story to tell on the tour guides to sort of get people. And it doesn't look like you can actually go in and do a visit.
Well, it's currently a bank.
It's a private. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Oh, is that right? Because I read somewhere else apparently somebody bought it and renovated it in 2016.
Matusita House is located in Lima, Peru, and many legends are linked with it. It's said to be the most haunted house in the world, most haunted in South America. Its peculiarity is that it's only the second floor that's said to be haunted, while the first floor is rented for shops. Currently, there's a bank there. So
it's a very specific haunting, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
because you've heard stories in the past. Well, I don't know if you've heard of this, but for example, like people who are tied into a particular house or something like that, obviously, hence haunted house, but not haunted upper
floors. Well, you get haunted rooms and stuff, don't you? So I guess so. If that's where it all went down.
I mean, it's all bollocks anyway. So.
But I don't know. But I don't know what the specifics around hauntings are. I don't know how Thai people are. I don't know what kind of range ghosts have. Do you know what I mean? So
depends on how powerful. Well, I imagine it comes down to devil's involvement. Are there any ley lines nearby? I mean, if you've had a witch burning, that's gonna. So I would have thought, a witch burning on the site. And that didn't happen on the second floor, didn't it? I would have thought it'd be the ground floor, if anything, it would be haunted. But there you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's a bit like, ghost energy rises like heat.
Yeah, because it's trying to get to heaven.
It gets trapped in the attic.
Gets trapped in a vortex.
Yeah. Do you reckon that's it? It could be.
It could. I mean, it always could be.
It's a theory. It's just one that doesn't stand up to any scrutiny. I mean, yeah. It's another one of these ones where it's an interesting little tale that I think is a nice. Yeah. It's not one they're really making money out of, so it's not a proper grift.
It's a fully loaded tale as well. There's a lot that's gone on.
There's a lot
There's
going on.
three different. Well, 4 different stories. One pretty much you can go didn't happen with the comedian. But unless, he's lying.
He may be making it up. He may have not wanted to admit.
But there's 4 specific tales attached to one house, and that's good quality.
And, some of these are...
Bang for your buck.
One which is quite verifiable, and hence the name of the house. I'm assuming that the crime actually happened in there. So, again, I kind of it's one of those ones where it feels to me like it's probably all kind of... the stories kind of came out after the murders, I suspect.
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
After the Japanese guy killed his family, I think that probably that was when all of the kind of the rest of the rumours started going in. And I think it's probably at that point that people would have, because it'll be one of those things as well, and something like, I mean, I don't know, but it's kind of like, I don't know what normally happens actually with, let's say something horrific has been happening in a house. I know, like for example, Fred West's house, they knocked it down, didn't they? Because they didn't want it becoming some like creepy shrine. I'm sure I heard that somewhere.
Probably. I mean, I'm not doubting you.
You'd have trouble
selling a
house like that, wouldn't you? Because this is like quite a big property as well. So,
I mean, there's a shortage of housing, so I guess it depends on. I mean, at what price point would you go? I could probably live with it.
Well, you can invest. I mean, it's not like unless you believe in hauntings and stuff, then
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, your problem would be the sell-on. But what you do is just sell it on to one of those people who's really into murders, like a goth or something.
Yeah, you want to get
Big
one
market.
of those, well, I don't know, somebody from Corn or something who's got a bit of money, is into all of that nonsense. Or I don't know, that
a juggalo.
Yeah, juggalo. Juggalos have got money though. All you're going to get there is a bit of meth. They haven't even got.
They're the Insane Clown Possie ones, aren't they?
Oh, actually, yeah. They've got money. They might make their own films and stuff, don't they? I think they've got.
Yeah, you could send it to Rob Zombie.
Yeah, Rob Zombie, or I don't know what those ICP blokes are called. Bogan, Boy. I'll tell you what I love about
Bonzo McCool.
They have the whole clown aesthetic.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even bother having a shave. He's just like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
He's doing it over the beard. He's going to have my.
That's all right, though, isn't it? Doesn't want to, doesn't want to.
Look,
doesn't want to go around without a beard. I'm
a psychotic clown at night, and then in the day, I will dress in a suit and have a nice goatee, and I want to drink Fago, I want a Pinot Grigio,
I'm an angel in the kitchen, a whore in the bedroom, and an insane clown on the stage.
A man of many parts. Well, I don't know if you heard as well, apparently, because they've been going for about. I'm talking of Eminem, actually.
He hates them.
Have you heard about? Well, yeah, they've got real beef in Insane Clown Possie and Eminem, which is hilarious because they came from the same area. And apparently, he was handing out flyers somewhere, and they'd seen him, and obviously didn't have their makeup on. He was, he was wearing his suit or something. When Mr. M,
so he was on his penny farthing.
And he thought, "Oh, you got to come along to my gig. It's going to be me and Insane Clown Possie or something else." And they're like, "Oh, we are Insane Clown Possie. what are you fronting for in All Up in My Grill? I imagine is what they said.
Something like that. I mean, it scans.
And that worked out well for them because he didn't become a massively famous star shortly afterwards. And
so what happened?
I imagine they're making pretty good money. Well, no, basically, apparently, the story, as I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but
quite heavy Eminem-based episode, isn't it?
There was a period when he was still sort of up and coming.
Yeah, around 8 Mile in Detroit.
Yeah, and they were actually already like
fairly big,
just or at least the local area. Like they were known around the area. It's like probably a cult thing, like they still are, but they were they were quite big.
Yeah, like Justice Force 5 in Brighton.
So
they were local. They were known in the city as sort of but not necessarily signed or whatever.
Yeah, I think they were known. They were probably making a bit of money out of their gigs or whatever. But
So he made up that he was doing a gig
he
with
made
them.
up that they were going to be on an. He was sort of like saying because he was trying to
He's blagging it.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently, he put them on some flyer that they were.
He said, "So it's them and me," and then they went, "Oi, we are the Creative Boys."
Hang on a minute, what's all this going on? And he's like, "Oh, would you like to sort of be in the show?" And they're like, "Well, if you come and asked us, maybe we would have done, man." But
I think that's fair enough. It's just a bit of
then he got out a magnet and started playing around with that, and they got really fucking furious.
A magnet?
Yeah, he started explaining the scientific properties. Have you never seen that?
No.
Okay, sorry, I'm referencing a video from about fucking 10 years back. They have a whole so there's I can't remember what it's called. It's something like they did a track called something like Miracles, and it became a bit of a YouTube meme. And anyway, there's one famous rhyme on it. It's something like something like this, but one of them gets really angry and it's like, "Magnets, how do they work? And don't be like a scientist or lying and making me mad." Basically, they get really furious about somebody trying to explain
electromagnetism.
Yeah, no, just magnetism. How 2 bits of iron can stick together.
Just magnetism.
Yeah, because they like this mystical force, and he gets very angry about scientists trying to explain it and take away the magic of the.
Right. Well,
because the whole thing is around the beauty of the universe and all of that, which is. But it's I don't know. Google it if you haven't seen it. Everyone else probably has, but it's quite ridiculous.
Do you have any idea who our listenership are? I doubt they have, Neil. I doubt they have.
I don't know. I just assume it's probably one of those things. But it's quite a funny watch.
Well, it's nice that they want to, despite their gruff, insane clown exterior, that they still want there to be magic in the universe rather than everything being cold and scientific. I think that's I think that's adorable.
Well, it is, and do you know what? Because I don't know how I know so much about them, but
you seem to know a fucking lot about them.
Yeah, well, they're quite. I've never heard any of their music, but the story's quite interesting. Anyway, so they've been doing stuff for about 20 years, and so obviously Eminem became huge and famous, and then started slagging them off constantly. So that didn't go as well for them.
Why did he do that? Because they didn't.
Basically,
because of that. But that was his fault.
In the telling of that story, well, exactly. But he thought they were being like arseholes because they were like the big band and kind of like I don't know. I mean, they probably slagged him off or something afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, this."
Well, I think it's a pretty dick move to try and use someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. Someone else's success and
just lie to get people to your show.
No, exactly. I think he was in the wrong there. So I don't know the full details. I don't know.
Yeah.
Presumably they were slagging him off after that, but then obviously he became more famous. So it was like, actually, fuck you, sort of thing. But yeah, he was in the wrong.
It's like Father Ted. You're not going to use your platform to settle old scores, are you? petty score settling.
What was on this? Oh yeah. So, but yeah, then sort of years after that, it turned out they were a Christian band. Imagine that.
What, they've turned into a Christian band?
Yeah.
Good. There's nothing that says Jesus to me.
Apparently, was all just around. Yeah, apparently the whole thing about the little fellow with an axe who goes around murdering people. Apparently, it was all just a metaphor for Jesus all along.
Oh, well, good. It is a metaphor that needed explaining, but
I imagine if you've done enough meth, it probably all makes sense. But anyway.
Yeah, and the Juggalos are their fans who dress up like sort of clowns, but with black and white makeup, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like a psychotic Ronald McDonald.
Yeah,
good
for them.
I never really got into the whole tribalism thing with music, but if you enjoy it and hang out with similar people, then fair enough.
I'm not sure. I mean, I can kind of understand it to an extent with a movement of music, but for a single band, I don't know that I'd go into school dressed up as a clown.
Oh no, absolutely. But no, I think there is. Well, the thing is, I think they have like it's a bit like Jay-Z or something. I think they've got a whole load of people on their label that
oh right,
do subscribe to the movement and all the rest of it. They do like a festival of I don't know how it works, but yeah.
You do, but you're backing down now. You know all about it. I think you're on their label.
I know the story. I've never heard their music. It all, for me, that all falls under that lump of like new metal stuff, which I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand it. Korn and fucking.
Why did you sign up for their label then, Neil?
Maybe when I was in my own band in the early 90s, I was, me and Limp Bizkit are going to be on there. Fred Durst just fucking cussed me out. That's not why I hate it, honestly. It's bad music. Yeah. No, right. Anyway, so
shall we do our matrix?
We probably had better on.
So this week I have put numbers into sugar cubes, and I'm going to drop them individually.
Not the band, the Icelandic band.
No. Yes, but for a different purpose. So I'm going to, and inside the sugar cubes there is a number on a bit of laminated ham, and I'm going to drop the sugar cubes into this lovely glass of expensive tonic water I've got here, and as it dissolves then it will give me a number. So I'm using basic. What are you doing? Sorry, my cat was just going mental. So I'm going to be using science to anger the Insane Clown Posse. I'm using the science of dissolving.
I don't know if it's all science or just magnetism science that angers them, but anyway.
Maybe we'll never know.
Who can say?
So, Neil,
too much more.
Do you want to start with spookiness?
Yeah, I'm going to give this one quite a high rating. So there's a the whole haunted house thing. There's usually some sort of it's quite a lot of good elements here, and I think there is just something about the whole sort of like, would you spend the night in a haunted house and all of that sort of thing? I probably would, to be fair, but there is just that frisson of kind of like So I think what's happened here is that there's been a horrific crime and a lot of stuff's been sort of retroactively added in to sort of add to this mythos, but nonetheless there is that kind of frisson of kind of like, I think part of it is around people wanting to understand in some way a really horrific act, so the supernatural devil or something like that. It just provides some context rather than just somebody did something.
Any of us could do it if we were pushed.
Yeah, exactly. So
any of us, Neil. Maybe some of us have, if pushed.
What pushed? You mean you got sort of someone to cut you up at the lights or something?
Someone looked at my pint of cider, both sides.
Yeah. Or you were standing at a level, or you were standing at a crossing and somebody didn't press the button. Just stood there waiting, and you're like,
"Woe betide the man that does that in front of me, sir."
Press the button anytime soon, or just going to
That's when I become the angel of death.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, rational things like that. No, so yeah, it's just that kind of thing. I think is always quite sort of it's quite spooky for me. The idea that something could sort of, or just the idea of that whole Lovecraftian thing about some malevolent entity that can sort of drive you mad. Mm-hmm. Or make you see things that are so horrific that tear each other limb from limb and all that. So good bit of spookiness there. I'm going to be quite high here and say give it an 8.
8. I mean, the thing which make it less spooky for me is it's now a bank and it's a lovely yellow building.
Yeah. You've got to go with the story.
Yeah.
Right?
The
reality, unfortunately, which is often the case.
Yeah. So the story. So spookiness. Witches. Well, I mean, witches, whatever. I mean, you don't really hear about witches doing that much wrong, really. They just get burnt for helping people.
I think just generally, you couldn't be.
The Inquisition was quite spooky, wasn't it? Collective madness. Yeah. So that's quite spooky. People either taking hallucinogens, and maybe that's where the whole story about people thinking their legs are carrot and cutting it all up on acid and stuff comes from. Because I think a lot of that's just urban nonsense. I'm not saying that doing too much acid can't make you go a bit nuts, but I'm not sure that people peel their own faces off and stuff. But so I mean, that's been around for a while, that kind of stuff. Either that or your servants killing you. I guess that's quite spooky if you've got servants.
There's solid death in this,
There's a lot of death. So, fuck's sake, cat. What? The cat keeps just jumping in all of my drawers next to me.
Well, wouldn't it?
Jumped in one, came out another one. Let's see what it says. I'm giving it a spookiness of 7, Neil.
Oh.
So I'll go for believability. Yeah. So I think that there's believability around the murders. I mean, do we know when they were, the Matusita?
No, it's not. It's not actually. I'm assuming they are factual. But I've not actually been to track them.
Okay,
but
I couldn't
track down the date in which they happened. It looks well. I mean, there's the photograph. It looks like either.
There's a photo of the family.
There is a photo of the family.
So like turn of the century kind of thing?
Yeah, it looks around turn of the century, so it looks...
Okay, so
they would almost like daguerreotype, so it looks... I would estimate probably late 19th century.
So I don't know what the record keeping's like, but in Lima, assume it's not top-notch, but I could be wrong. But still, it's only 120 years ago, so... That's probably believable that happened. The other stuff, witch burning's very believable, whether it was on that site or not. There'd be a lot of that going on, especially in South America, where there was a strong indigenous culture already. If it was a Persian woman or what, I don't know if that's just embellishment or whether it was just like a local person. Who knows?
It sounds like embellishment, and I also don't know how active the Spanish Inquisition were in Spanish colonies, but I'm
very.
Were they?
Yeah. I think the murder happened. Do I believe in all of the ghost stuff? There's obviously no and yes, but not necessarily ghost stuff, because I don't know that I believe in that full stop, but I do believe that stuff's happened there. Not sure that all the stories are true, but let's see what I give it. 7 again for believability for me. Neil?
Not too bad. Yeah, I mean, there's elements of believability here. As I say, from my perspective, it's another one of these ones where there's a core of truth in it, and then it's been embellished. So,
would you say there was a kernel of truth?
Could be even a kernel of truth. Yeah, like Colonel Saunders.
Yeah, who we know as Truth, because we only listen to what he has to say about the news.
Yeah, it mainly means I'm only able to advise on fried chicken related news, but
that's all right. It's the only news we need.
Look, be an expert in your own field. Don't try and go too far. Know what you know what your gift is. Stick to that.
There's a really good
more of that in this world, Chris. Maybe we'd all be a little bit happier.
There's a really good free PC game, which is an anime KFC game with Colonel Saunders in it, and you basically he's like the romantic lead. It's really odd.
I'm not sure I want to try and get.
It's actually done by KFC though. It's actually made by KFC. Yeah, it's a really odd game. Huh? No, you fall in love with him, but then he can't be with you because of, I don't know, chicken or something. But it's a really weird game. I streamed myself playing it, and I gave him I do declare voice like that. I don't believe your chicken is delicious.
I was going to say he's probably the best mascot of the big fast food mascots.
Yeah.
There's one at McDonald's. What's that all about? Fucking clown obsessed with hamburgers. Fuck off. Burger King bit better, but
well, not really. I mean, he's new, isn't he? The Burger King. That's just new.
Royalty, yeah.
No, but I mean that isn't what it. Like they used him for a bit and then just dropped him after about a week. Like that big.
Oh yeah, no, that particular campaign that they did. Yeah, but actually that's a good point because they didn't really have a mascot there before that, did they? So it was just Burger King. So yeah, and what else do you got?
There's the Wimpy.
Wimpy. Well, that's from the Popeye cartoons, isn't it? I imagine.
No, it's different Wimpy. He was named Wimpy after the chain Wimpy, but he isn't actually he's not the Wimpy mascot. The Wimpy mascot is a longshoreman called Fredericks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not as familiar. I've not had a Wimpy in years. I mean, it's just been one of those things where parents be like, "Oh, they're good though," because you get plates and a knife.
Yeah, that's what we all used to go when we were kids.
Yeah,
there's still a few left.
Still at Wimpy's in Port Slade.
There is, of course, there is.
Back in the beyond where I grew up. I pass every so often and think, "Oh, I should go in there one day and have."
Well, I remember they had the best dessert, which was called a brown derby, which is a hot donut with Mr. Whippy ice cream on, chopped nuts and chocolate, and the donut's warm. So yeah, you get all the nice cold and hot stuff together.
They did a very nice Knickerbocker Glory as well.
Oh.
Which is effectively just like a load of ice cream and whipped cream. And
yeah, that was too American for me as a child.
I mean, those big glasses, though, it's really exciting when you have to.
Yeah. Someone when I worked up at the Greyhound track, we used to do Knickerbocker Glories, and the Knickerbocker Glory glasses were plastic, obviously, because it's a Greyhound track and everyone's had 50 pints. But one of the other kitchen staff broke the bottom off it, sellotaped it onto the top, used a knife to cut through it, and made a bong for it. Made a bong out of the Knickerbocker Glory glass that they used to down in the staff room.
Bong story.
Right, come on then. Believability now.
Right, believability, yeah. So, anyway, long and short of it. So, I believe a bunch of this stuff did happen. I think, though, a lot of it came about. I think we've already realised that the Argentinian comedian thing is kind of like a no-go. That was just sort of embellishment. I suspect the sort of the family, the cruel guy who ended up dismembering all of his mates because they fed him some hallucinogens is probably, and the witch thing are probably all embellishments after the fact as well. But having said that, you don't know, and it could have been. So I think, whilst I don't believe all of it, certainly some of this stuff did happen. There is a frisson of something there. So I'm going to give it a 6.
A 6, lovely. So, Reach. I go first on this one. So, it's been around for a while. It's got plenty of it about it on the websites, or the internet, as the kids call it. I mean, I hadn't heard of it, but I think it's probably fairly well known. I mean, I'm sure it's very well known in Peru. Yes, maybe other areas of South America. There seems to have been a film made of it.
I forgot to mention this actually. Yes, there absolutely has. The Mystery of Casa Matusita.
The house doesn't look anything like the real house.
It doesn't. It looks way more. It's a bit like with
like Amityville.
Annabelle doll or something. Yeah, or Amityville. They've just made it look way more spooky. But here's my favourite thing, because I think I'm to track this down. It's got Malcolm McDowell in it and Skeet Ulrich. So it's actually got some bone fun. I tell you what, I bet Malcolm McDowell's in it for like fucking 30 seconds, and he's sitting down the entire time.
Yeah, just having blue eyes.
Yeah. Like, right, you give me £1 million, I'm going to be seated, you're giving me a cue card, I'm not learning any fucking lines for this shit.
I'm improvising.
Yeah. Yes, it looks like an evil house. I think that's a terrible Malcolm McDowell. I can't think.
So, it's got the film, it's on the internet.
I'll be trying to track that one down.
It's fairly old. Let's have a look and see what I've got. Available for kids' parties. And yeah, I'm giving it a 6 for Reach, because I think it's fairly well reported. Yeah. And it's got the film and stuff.
So this one, it's kind of like it's on all of the, anything about South American ghost stories. Again, it's another one of these ones where it's the most haunted X in the world, or one of the most haunted. That seems to be every haunted thing ever. seems to be one of the most haunted bloody blahs. That just seems to be the script that everyone uses. And what's interesting is they're not using it. They've not turned it into a sort of museum or something. Or well, obviously there's a bank downstairs because apparently it's all haunting is precluded to the second floor, which I think is quite funny.
They probably put some. They probably put some runes up.
Yeah, it could be like a ring of salt or something at the bottom of the stairs. Who knows? Don't break the ring.
Don't touch the salt. When you're going in for your mortgage.
It's, I mean, obviously, it's going to do the job, but it's a temporary measure because somebody sweeps that up.
Yeah, but maybe they mix salt in with the paint. Could that work?
Well, I don't see why not.
Is it the crystal? Is it the crystalness of the salt that makes it reflect spirits? I mean, they've got a lot of crystals in South America, haven't they? I mean, that's like Crystal Central. It's fucking crystals all over the place. They've got them massive crystals that are the size of houses. So maybe they just crystalled it up.
Could be. It'd be something like that. But so in terms of so I think in terms of the Reach, then they've had a film made out of it. So clearly it's travelled a little bit. It has been around for a little while. My only thing on this is I wonder, now that it's kind of like been renovated and there's a bank downstairs and everything, how much longer it'll kind of like keep on it as a story. But I think that there's probably grounds that it might well sort of, I don't know, just kind of demystifies it a little bit when you've got, you can go in and, cash a check. Yeah. But
the finance industry is quite spooky, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, this is Reach anyway, so.
But anyway, so I'm going to give it a 5.
5, lovely. And narrative premise, you can go first on that one.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the better ones, actually. And I think that's good. By having something at a location, it's a good thing about Haunted House. You can build a bit of a story. And rather than, I mean, for a lot of these, sometimes it just feels like they throw bits in at the end. I don't know why.
If you're going to invest in an urban legend, invest in bricks and mortar. That's what my old dad used to tell me.
Going to appreciate.
We didn't exist.
So yeah, I all of the tales that come out of this, I think the ones afterwards were embellishments after the fact, but it actually all kind of relates. So you start off with a witch burning, that thing becomes a haunted site.
Done. Get it burned.
Get a good solid foundation there. The sins of colonialism and all of that sort of thing. So that's quite juicy. You can play with a bit of theme there. Then you're moving on to there's a bit of class warfare. Some servants play a prank, but it all goes horrifically wrong, and they bit enough more.
It's like a farce movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that often happens at the start of horror films, doesn't it? Something goes wrong.
Horrifically wrong, and someone else has to come in. Did you say farce movie as in those Vin Diesel ones?
No, that's a fast movie. That's a farce as in CE.
Yes. I was going to say I was trying to tie into
Fast and Furious.
Have people dismembering each other after a night on the acid. That's the truth.
Could be. I don't know. I've not seen them.
There's about 10 of the things now, aren't there? So
loads more than that.
Try and do something like that. Yeah, I think I saw one of them. They were, it just had like a plane taking off for about 3 hours while they threw cars into it or something. I can't remember.
It's all right, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
It doesn't get better to do, so fine.
I'm just rewatching Leverage.
It was fine, but wasn't particularly excited about tracking down the other ones. I know they've become very popular. Anyway, don't know why I'm going on about that.
No one does.
You've got the solid foundations, then the sort of class stuff, and then obviously this horrific crime. The Argentinian comedian thing at the end, but then that at least brings it up. I mean, obviously, also the fact that
but in 50 years' time, people will forget that he came out and said it didn't happen, and only the story will remain.
Exactly, the story will remain, because already people are sort of saying it. Because that's the thing as well. It's like some people say you only saw 4 hours, other people say it was 4 days. Different claims across. But anyway, as you say, it's a nice little embellishment, and it brings it a little bit more up to date. Sort of the consistency of these things happening. So yeah, no, I think there's quite a right narrative there, and there's a bit of room for some more shenanigans. Haunted Bank is going to be the sequel, I think.
Yeah, sounds like a good film.
Ghost Bank. It'd be one of those like Sharknado, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
One of those knowingly ironic movies that I've never watched because to me that just sounds like you're
Get in the safe, motherfucker! This place is haunted.
Oh dear. I like a bad movie. I don't, but deliberately bad movies, I'm not sure about. I like somebody trying and failing.
Yeah, because of your thick seam of Schadenfreude that runs through you. Well, no, so come on, give me a number.
We were talking about Sean Harper earlier on, and I think that can become quite almost outside of right. Anyway, yes, give you a number. Okay, narrative. Yeah, no, this is another strong one for me. I'm going to give it an 8.
8, lovely. So yeah, I like the fact it's goes back to colonial times again. It's tied in with witch burning, the Spanish Inquisition. Then you've got local herbs making people go nuts and pull themselves apart. I mean, it's funny. So that's good. And then it's got people being sent off to a mental hospital. Then it's got the real crime, which isn't funny, but it's there. Then they're continuing to try and update it. I'd say there's probably another, I'm putting a timeline in my head, and it seems to me like every 70 odd years they tack on another story onto this. So watch this space. I'm going to give it an 8 as well. So in total, that gives it a very high 55 out of 80 urban legend points.
Is that the highest one we've had yet, Chris? We'll have to go back and...
No, I think some of the ones that are actually true probably got higher, but...
there's elements of truth to this one. Well, I'm assuming that the Japanese crime thing did happen.
We got a 64.5. I'm not sure what that was. But it is high. It's maybe second highest, second or third.
Definitely one of our higher ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I would just like to end this episode by saying, first of all, if you want to get in touch, if you've got any theories or any legends you want us to look at, our email address is herb.legends.pod@gmail.com. And if you are with members of the Bullingdon Club and you've already got altitude sickness because you're in a very high city and you take some hallucinogens from the hills of the Andes, try not to have nightmares and pull each other apart.
Lads will be lads.
Lads will be lads. So that's it from this episode of Urban Legends, and we will see you soon with the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, Java here. Well, that's that then. What a spooky house. And I would just like to say, if you are thinking of booking tickets to my one-man show, then please do hurry, because the run has to be cut short due to some conflicting schedules and that kind of business. But hope to see you there. Ta-ta!